Hello, my name is Lawrence Eichduor. I run a lead gen agency where we help B2B businesses generate more leads and more business with cold outreach systems. And for that, we use tools such as Instantly. And one problem we run into frequently is that we already uploaded a campaign. We have that campaign running. And then you realize, oh, we maybe would have needed one more custom variable to maybe improve that copy, maybe for the second, third, fourth sequence, whatever. And then just setting up that campaign completely from scratch is really a pain. So I wanted to figure out a way how we could just update one variable instead of actually having to set up the campaign, the complete campaign from scratch. So today I'm going to show you how we can do this, set all of this up in N8N in an N8N workflow. And I would like to start with a quick explanation of the problem and how we're going about it. So I already wrote something down. So it's basically very straightforward. So basically we're just first getting the campaign's leads. And that would mean we will have a look at that because now it sounds very easy, but it will be in batches of 100 because that's how the API structured it. Then we will do something with it. In this case, it will be to add a title because there's a German campaign, and in German to have a salutation that is formal, you would have to include Mr. or Mrs. So I didn't do that in the beginning, but what we will have to do is that we take the first name and the last name and then let AI decide based on the name whether it's a male or a female prospect, and therefore add this custom variable Mr. or Mrs. to the campaign. That's what we would do in this step here. Update or patch, that's what it's called in the API language, the lead. And then basically start again from the first lead, basically proceed to the next lead. What we will see is that, as I already outlined here, that we will only get batches of 100. That would means in total, for example, we would, excuse my drawing. So in total, maybe we have 1,000 leads. But what we will be doing is split this up into 10 different batches. So we start with this one, then basically loop over all of them. This is a loop. Do the same for this one, and so on. Because that's the API isn't able to just return us 5,000 leads, so that's why they had to draw a line somewhere, and they did it at the 100 line. So yeah, and basically for all of this, we are using the Instantly API v2. Let me correct that here. That's v2. So let's have a look at that. So this is what Instantly looks like. We can see these are our leads. This is the list of all the leads. And in here we can see what we already have in this specific campaign. So we have the contact, the company, of course the email. And then in terms of personalization, we only have 2. And these are the names of the personalizations. These are the name of the variables. So these are the custom variables, Personalisierung, which means personalization, and 1 and 2. And in this case, I didn't specify what exactly it is here because of the way I set it up. But this is basically the company name normalized. So you can see here, payroll management GmbH was normalized to pay, and so on, just to get rid of like this company thing. And then in here, this was basically a comment on the LinkedIn profile picture. And now we want to add some more because this campaign has 490 leads. We only ran 2 sequences so far. So as I said, we want to add something here. So how we are going to go about this, basically, we just go into n8n and set up a new workflow. Already called this update instantly lead. And all of this will be done using HTTP requests. And as I said, the instantly API v2, we can go in here. And as you might already expect, is this the v2? It looks like yeah, it is. All right, so I already did my research. So how we go about this, not, one might think, okay, maybe through campaign, but then we go in here, okay, campaign, list campaign, get campaign. You go in here and see, okay, there are no leads returned. What we actually need to use is this endpoint lead and then get lead. And then here, no, this is not the one. It's list leads. And usually you would expect it to be in a get request because you're just getting leads. And they also specified here, this endpoint is a post endpoint instead of get, deviation, because the filtering, what does it say here? Because the filtering is quite complex. So therefore that's the way they set it up. And yeah, basically we can already just copy over this curl to n8n. And that's the way we would get the leads. I would just at first make sure that we can actually use this. So here then you would put in your bearer token that you can find inside instantly, that you would find, you just go to settings, preferences, integrations, and then API keys basically. And you can create a new API key here, and then you just copy that over, and that then is the token. So yeah, now back in our campaign, the good thing is I think we already have our credentials in here that we can use. If we go in here and go to the generic credential type, and that would be header auth. No, we don't actually. Okay, so then actually let's set this up. Create new credential. This would be instantly, and then you put in authorization, just as we saw before. So you go authorization, and then in here you would say bearer space, and then take the other stuff from instant. So I just copied over the API key, paste it in here, authorization, yes, save. So this should be fine. And what we would then do is that we go back here into instantly and find out the campaign ID. Campaign ID is basically everything that is behind this slash here. So this number, this string, this hexadecimal number. So let's copy that over, copy. And then we would want to paste that in somewhere here. We don't know where exactly yet. For that, we will have to have a look at the documentation again. So basically, yeah, it says campaign here, and this is in the body. So we'll then follow that we would just go in here. Yeah, we can basically just use this campaign underscore ID and paste that in. Let's see. Get campaign ID. I don't know, get campaign leads. All right. Okay, as you see, it failed. Invalid API key. That's quite interesting. Actually, not the first time that I have that problem with instantly. Might be, let's try it again. All right, so what we can do now is that we just go in here. Authorization, yeah, so that was correct. Then we go in here, we type in, so I will have to pause the recording here for a second. All right, so what I did now is that I basically switched the n8n instance because it just didn't work in this case. Sometimes instantly API is a bit lagging. They also, in the past days, had some issues with their webhooks that they send out. So this is not a problem on our end, but actually on Instantly side. So on this instance of N8N, we already have the credentials, and it did work in this case, so that was good. As you can see, this is what they return here. So we get the body with items, and each of these items, of course, is just one lead with all the information that we already provided in there. And that's basically what we could already see. Oh, basically I can already tell this is not the campaign that we actually wanted to update. Let's have a look at that. All right, so here we can already see that this is clearly not what we wanted, because it already says campaign and shows this one. So I don't know where that comes from. Actually, let's get rid of that. See if we only do this. Okay, then it's a bad request. We try body, and then we put in campaign _ID, and then it was something like this. Try this again. Oh, my bad. There is no ID here. Only says campaign. So there you go. Now we get the correct ones. They're in the right campaign. And then if we were to like now go through all of them, what we would do, of course, is to first split them out. So we can actually go through all of them one by one. And then we can see we only got 10 here. What can we do to get more than 10? We go through these, limit, but we can see it's limited to a number between 1 and 100. But what we will do now is that we up this to 100. Limit. Now we go here, 100. And run this again. Then you can see 100 items. So that's a good start. How can we actually get all of them? Because we can see that we have 490 leads in here. What we can do, if we have a look at the documentation again, is that we can use this starting after. So basically this is the specific leads ID. And what we want to do is that we loop over all 100 of them. And then we have, if you go into the leads here, or maybe here is even better. If we go in here on the very last lead, we can see that we have, what's it called? It's called next starting after or so. Oh no, it's actually in here in this request. So you can see next starting after. So that would mean this one we would need in the next request. So we should already include this here and have it empty the first time, I would just say. So we would already set this up here, starting after. And then the next time we come back here, we would want to include this. So we have these 100 here. Looping over them. Basically, this would be if we return something here, then we want to do this. If not, then we would be done. So if leads found, and that would probably translate to items not being empty. Items length greater than 0. So yeah, in this case, we would split them out. If this is not the case, then we would do nothing. We'll call this flow finished. Yes. Yes, sir. This sounds good. And then in this case, we will set this up to an expression. So the problem we're having right now is that, of course, like we will go through all of these steps. So we will add some ChatGPT module here, then update the lead again. And then only at the very end, if we already like went or like ran through the 100 items, then we will want to go back into the get campaign leads and have this next starting after inserted in here. So how we would do that, or how we will do that, is that we already put in something here, and that would be we just call it JSON dot next underscore starting underscore after. So basically that's here. That's one. Yep. And as now this node here expects it in, let's actually try if we can run it like this. Okay, we can. That's good, because now it just it leaves it empty. That works. Then the next time we actually run this get campaign leads request, then we will take this over. How can we do that? We will it expects us in the node before that's coming in before. So how we will do this is this: we have one added fields node that we will have here, and that would do set next starting after. Problems, we can't do that right now without connecting it. We could, but it's just a pain right now. So let's start with something else. We split these out here. We have these 100 items, and then we want to loop over all of them in batches of 1. So what we would do then is we would take an OpenAI module, message a model, and then we would go in here, take the 4.0 mini, because it's quite cheap and we don't need much computational power for it. We would start with a system prompt. You are a helpful, intelligent gender determination assistant. Something like that exists. So then we would go in here, set up a user prompt. We can make this quite simple, because it will be able to do that for sure. Your task is to determine the gender of a person and return the person's title in German, or return the according title in German. Only return Herr or Frau. Let's make this bigger. That should be sufficient actually. Output using the following JSON format. That I would always use the JSON format, because it just makes it cleaner. That would be title. And then here, Herr, for example. All right, should be fine. Determine title. And then here we want to feed in the data that we have, also using JSON format to keep it clean. This would be first name, and then we have the last name. Then we put in some expression here. Let's run this before, so we can actually grab the first and last name from that specific lead. So the last name will be this one. The first name goes in here. We already have everything set up. We can do a bit on the temperature here. Make this 0.6. I have my keyboard in German, so it will be a comma. So determine the title. Let's try this. Should be working. Title Herr. That works. So this means Michael Dahm is German, which is correct. Then we would already get to uploading the lead again. That is the next endpoint we need here. Then we go through here and we can already see patch lead. So for the different endpoints, we have post, get, patch, delete, and schema. I think schema is not an endpoint. No. Patch. What do we need? We need the leads ID. We need basically we just need what we will update. So in this case, it will be a custom variable. Yes, it's quite simple. Let's just try it. So let's actually copy the curl again. Oh no, this is the wrong one. Here it is. HTTP import curl. There you go. And this is the leads ID, I believe. Is that correct? Patch lead. Yes, that's the leads ID. So where do we get this from? I would take it from here. If we take it from here or so, that we could run into problems with that, because it then maybe at times it won't be able to determine which item to use. So we take it from here, from the loop over items, and then this would be the lead ID, I believe. Right? Yes, it is. So so one problem that you often run into is if we still have this as a fixed thing here, and then we pull this in here, then it will always add a space. So make sure to always remove that. So patch authentication, we will again take the generic credential type that we have already set up, which is this one. Then we don't need the headers anymore. And then we would only need this here. Custom variables. It's an object that contains. Okay, so we can just use JSON to do that, which will basically be, let's go in here. So basically custom. We will have another object in here, and this will be title, colon, and then we just grab the title in here. That should be it. That should be it. Let's get rid of this. Then patch lead. All right, let's try this. That's a blessing. Let's first have a look if it actually worked here. Title here worked, and then we can go into the instantly UI. Have a look if it also worked here. This is the guy. Do we maybe have to refresh? And we go in here, Michael Dahm, and we can see title here has been added. So that worked. We can see the column has been added. So that's great. Maybe to actually find out if this whole logic that we set up here works, it's much easier if we turn down this limit to 2 now. So in this logic, we would patch the lead, then go into the next one. And as soon as we're done with it, okay. So now this logic is becoming more complex, or at least it looks more complex. So after we're done with it, then we would set the next starting after, and then go back into getting the campaign leads. I don't know how to actually arrange it so it looks more simple, but that's just how it works. Maybe like this, I don't know. Let's just keep it. Let's actually keep it like that. Still not happy, but yeah. So, and in here, what we would do is we grab the next starting after from this HTTP request, this one here, get campaign leads, next starting after. And then in this case, you can see can't determine which item to use. So what we would do in here, we just replace the item with dot first, and then grabs the first one, and that should be fine. And then let's run this now, see how it goes. Now it's going for the second one, finish that loop, does this. Okay, no, that's not what we wanted. Let's actually see what happened in here. So let's see, for how many did it actually update? Okay, so for the first two, that's what I assumed. What happened afterwards? So we made 4 requests here. I don't know what happened that we got 27 here. 1, 2, 6, 18. So what we want to do is that we only execute once. That might help. That execute once, we would also, I don't know if we need it here actually, but yeah, probably. Let's also set that here. Execute once, because now it goes in here twice, patches the lead. Then as soon as it's done, it goes in there. Let's try this again. So what I'm assuming right now is that once it went through this loop once, can't like restart the loop in that sense. So what would then follow is, actually I didn't expect that. So what we would then do is that we will first have to get the entire list of items. So okay, let's rearrange this whole flow. Go back here, get rid of this, get rid of this. And then as long as this has so we set this next starting after, then we go back in here. Right, let's bump this up to 100 and let's just see what happens. I think that's how we would go about it. And then maybe let's see if we can actually get all the items that these returned in all different runs. That should be everything. Yeah, that's correct. That's good. Let's connect this here. And that's the thing right now. We have different items here. And here it didn't return anything. That's what we wanted. But then we would have to go in here. Okay, let's just see what happens if we do it like that. Nope, that didn't work. What if we did something like JSON? What else have we got here? I think it's something like input.all or so. Input dot. So actually what we want to do is that we still want to keep the data that we had here previously. And that turns out to be more difficult than we thought at first. So basically I just looked at the workflow for like 2 seconds and went into this one and saw if they had some more options, and it said reset. I think this might actually solve the problem, but I haven't tried it yet. Let's see. Oh, I think we still have the 100 in here, right? That's problematic. Let's do 2. Excuse me. What's happening here? We have 2 items. So what exactly does that mean? So, okay, so it actually just, okay, that's not what we want. That's not what we want. I believe it should be possible to somehow be able to just first gather that list of 500 leads or so, and then iterate over all of them, or iterate over 100, then get some more, iterate over them again. Let's just try this again this way. Maybe try and find the mistake why it doesn't happen. Okay, so then it goes in here, does the request, and then that's a problem. So it goes in here. So first of all, let's see, does it get other items here? Okay, so this looks good. Hi, Hello. Just having a look at these names here right now, if these are different, or these emails. So these are actually different leads every time. So it does make the correct calls, the correct request. That's correct so far. And then this correct as well, this correct as well. Always 2 items, that's correct as well. But then in here, that's the problem. So what we could definitely do is just store the data permanently, for example, in a Google Sheet. But I really want to avoid that because it feels a bit like overkill. I want to do it in memory. But if it's not possible in any other way, we can also do it in Google Sheet. I'll think about it for another 2 minutes. All right, I decided after only 1 minute that it will be the Google Sheet. So let's put this together very quickly. First name. Let's stick to first name, last name. Then we have the ID, which we would want to go first here. Then title, and then updated. So we would, and this would we call update leads instant YouTube. So there you go. So we have this set up, and then we will actually return to our previous structure now, which was, let's get rid of this. Let's separate this here. This will come here. And only then it would get everything from a Google Sheet again. So yeah, what we would do here is we go into the Google Sheet, update, append or update row. Just makes it easier because sometimes we would rerun something and then that's better to have that. That's sheet 1, map each column manually, column to match on is the ID, and then we would just go in here. Actually, we would then have to do the split out here. split out the leads. That's get the items. Then in here we upload lead. ID. First name. Last name. The title is still to be updated, and updated is in instantly. Let's actually specify that. Updated in instantly. Let's refresh here, get rid of this. And then let's actually minimize API calls here. I feel like this could run into problems if we run 100 at once, but we will see. Let's actually try this. Let's maybe try and already set up everything at once. So then we will have the Google Sheet here, and this will be get rows in sheet. Actually, to make our life easier, we can already no. And then here we would get all rows. Actually, we only want to get the ones that we haven't updated yet, because if we maybe if there's an error like after 200 out of 400 leads, then we already have half of it updated. So we will add something in that field, update it instantly. So the ones where it's empty are the ones we haven't updated yet. So now it will filter out only these ones. And yeah, basically, let's see if that works. Then we could loop over these items. This could actually work like this. We would only have to put another sheet module. This would be update row and sheet. And it's this one, sheet 1. And then, yeah, problem is if we execute right now, it runs everything. So let's just try if we can do it like this. Some freestyle. No, we don't need to update this at all. Neither. This one we wouldn't need it necessarily, but JSON.title, I believe. This is the most important part. We actually have that set up. Oh no, we're just gonna call that yes. This update status. I don't know. That could work now. I think the only problem might be API calls. Okay. Okay, so if we do it like that, now it would actually run through that for all of them. What we want to do is set this limit to 100, and then we can see. And now you might have some problems with API calls. $490, that sounds very good. And then it will go through them one by one right now. Okay, it's not adding title because I think it's in the custom variables in here, right? Title, oh, it's in payload. So it's payload dot title. All right, just copy that. Good thing about it now is, okay, so actually, if we actually want to be efficient, wait, I have to close this now. If we actually want to be efficient now, we don't need that part here anymore. So that we can just get rid of this middle part here. Move that down for a second. And then now this comes into play. You can see now it's only 486 items because these 4 have already been updated. And then just imagine that here it would, let me actually add that here, and this is Frau, and then we can let that run. Let's see. And now all of them are being updated. And now we keep this running in the background. Have a look at instantly again. This should be updating here as well. Here, wait a second. Okay, so this is quite important because actually this is a woman's name. Heike. This should not be titled here. This yeah, I expected something like this. So, oh no, it's because we switched the structure. That's why it's always important to double check, right? So this here and why does that not work? JSON dot last name. Oh. All right. As it's only one woman until here, I believe. Yes, it is. We can just change that manually. Frau. Right. If that's set up. With that being said, let's go into the Google Sheet again. Okay, now we have Cassandra, Frau. Very good. Fernanda, Marques. And now you can see, like, once. So it's doing like every 2 seconds, so that would be 30 a minute. So it would then follow that we have, 16 minutes. So 15 to go, I would say. And then everything's updated. And I think this is, if you already have like that set up once, that structure, then you can do like small adjustments to it. Basically just change the prompt here. Maybe you need some more information that aren't in instantly, but that should actually show you why it's important to actually add all information in instantly. So then you have everything in one place instead of then trying to match it again with some Google Sheet where you store the information, some Airtable table or so. Yeah, that's how you can go about it. I think you learned something from this video also in terms of problem solving because I try to keep this uncut and show you the problems that I ran into and how I solved it, and maybe the considerations I had to make in terms of speed, in terms of like speed of development, how I want this to be. Actually, I didn't want to use Google Sheets at first, but it turned out to be quite a reasonable approach because now we can actually also store the data and not have it only in memory, but can see the progress. So actually it's best practice to always do that. And thanks a lot for watching and hope to see you in the next video.